See this sexy guy right here? This is the Dark Man. As you can tell by the cute little demon heads on either side, the Dark Man was one of your predecessors. In fact, he's the first Darkness host we have any record of. We know there have been hosts before him, but none of them got statues, so fuck him. You know, no one knows who the Dark Man was or where he came from. All we have to go on is one passage from the Hidden Testament of Moses. If I can paraphrase, it says, "He walked out of the wilderness, a dark man who spoke with authority." You know, like James Earl Jones. And those words were black, even the wisest were swayed. Cue 40 years of horror unlike anything the world had ever seen. Oh yeah, you heard that correctly. 40 fucking years. Moses wasn't lost in the desert for 4 decades. He was fighting a war against Mr. Tall, Dark, and Stretchy. Seriously, I mean, what's up with this guy's neck? He's like a giraffe. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, the 40-year war, 40-year war. Before the war had ended, the Dark Man had eaten Moses' heart, which is the real reason Moses never saw the Promised Land. It's also probably why the Dark Man got a statue. I mean, killing Moses is a pretty big deal, historically speaking. How you doing, Jackie? Listen, I'm gonna tell you about this particular relic, but you gotta promise me something. No matter what I tell you, you can't let this get weird, okay? Okay? Okay. This is the reliquary of the Blessed Blood. It is said to contain a relic of untold worth, an object of unfathomable holiness, a preserved piece of flesh from the Messiah himself. Yes, that's right. We're talking about the foreskin of Jesus Christ. Except, here's the thing. There is someone's foreskin inside this reliquary. It just didn't belong to the holy member. It actually belonged to a guy named Miles from South Hamiltonshire. Don't ask how I know this. I just do. I'm an occultist, all right? Just forget about the foreskin. The foreskin is a distraction. There was nothing important about the foreskin, and we should both just forget it ever happened. Moving on. The container is what's so important here, okay? See, the darkness isn't the only power the Brotherhood wants to harness. They're just as interested in the Angelus. This reliquary was their first attempt to create a vessel that could hold the Angelus. It was a total failure. All it did was piss off the Angelus, and when she's pissed, she does like to burn things. Still, there's dark magic in here. Magic best hidden from certain people. And turning it into a possibly ridiculous foreskin holder was a good way to do that. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go scrub my memory with bleach and steel wool. Holy shit, Jackie, this is big. This is really big. You know how the siphon of the Angelus was designed to hold the darkness? Well, this is the prism of the brothers, and it's meant to hold the Angelus. After the darkness escaped the siphon, the Brotherhood vanished for a long time. So long, in fact, it was believed that they disbanded. But no, the siphon of the Angelus had been lost to them. Without it, they couldn't make good on their plan to shroud the world in darkness. Instead, they decided to burn the world with light, so they built this. When the darkness and Angelus re-emerged during World War II, the Brotherhood was waiting for them. Don't ask me how, because I sure as hell got no idea, but the Brotherhood defeated the Angelus, trapping her inside the prison. Okay? Where, according to legend, she remains today. But here's the thing, Jackie. I'm looking at this prism right now, and I'm not picking up a thing. No holy essence, no dark magic, nothing. The Angelus is not inside the prism. In fact, it never even touched it. If I can be honest, this scares the living fuck out of me. The Angelus has not been seen on our world in 70 years. We thought it was because she was trapped in this, but she's not, Jackie. She's still out there. Where the fuck is she? You know, Jackie, this thing inside of you, the darkness, to you, it's a curse, but not everyone sees it that way. It's like that old saying, one man's curse is another man's, gimme. You know, I mean, that's a stupid way to think, obviously. The darkness is the possessor, not the possession. But stupid people do stupid things, which is why many of them have tried to steal the darkness over the years. Lucky for you, I guess, these attempts usually don't go very far. Take this relic, for instance. Over time, it has earned the name the Fool's Phylactery. If you ever played D&D as a kid, looking at your muscles, I will assume you did not. You'd know that a phylactery is like a Tupperware for souls. It keeps them safe, fresh, unspoiled. It also doesn't fucking exist. Nowhere in all the black arts is there such a thing as a phylactery. See, the Fool's Phylactery is a hoax perpetrated by a monk back in the 1600s. He'd had his fill of religion and was looking to cash out, so he crafted this fancy container, forged some ancient scrolls, then sold it to the first rube he could find. That idiot tried to catch the darkness and got eaten instead. You'd think that would be the end of it, but no. 400 years and countless dead later, this shit is still going on. People are fucking idiots. This is why I live in a box, under a bridge. This is, well, it's a thumb screw. I don't really know what else to tell you. I mean, this thing is definitely giving off dark energy. But again, we're talking about a device that was used to torture people by slowly crushing their fingers. I'd be scared if it wasn't giving off nasty vibes. What? You want more? Sure. Just give me a second. Okay, I got something. From what I can divine, this thing goes back like 400 years. It was used on a host who was imprisoned by the Brotherhood. Chances are that dark energy I'm picking up is a taint left by the darkness. Meaning this isn't just any thumbscrew, it's an evil thumbscrew, so it hurts more. Maybe. Oh, that's still not enough. Okay, fine. This is the infamous Black Thumb. In 1631, it single-handedly ripped and raped its way across the English countryside, leaving behind a trail of bloody bastards and broken dreams. Never has the world seen such carnage. Pray it never will again. Yes, I am being sarcastic. No, I don't want you to kill me. Okay, I'll shut up now. You can't tell by looking at it, but this simple strip of iron is one of the worst torture devices ever devised. It's one of the 12 infamous purification rituals used by the Brotherhood the first time they ever tried to steal the darkness. The Brotherhood simply referred to it as the Fourth, but over time it earned the name the Silent Night. It's easy to see why. Long time ago, the Brotherhood stole the darkness host at birth. They then raised him as one of their own, only to torture and kill him in an attempt to force the darkness out. This strip was forced into that unfortunate host's mouth, keeping it open. It was then wrapped around his jaw, leaving a slit where his tongue was inserted. The gag was then slowly tightened. The first thing it did was slice off the host's tongue, but then the gag was tightened further, and it completely shattered and dislocated his jaw. You think that's horrible? Keep in mind, the host had yet to manifest the darkness. He didn't know what he was. The Brotherhood had raised him since birth to believe he was one of their own. Imagine, the only family you've ever known, subjecting you to the most painful, degrading acts they can imagine, and they don't even tell you why. I don't want to sound like I'm going soft, but it seems to me like that'd be the worst torture of all. Anyway, the darkness manifested right as the host's jaw snapped. They say it killed every person within a league of the Brotherhood's monastery that day. Then, the host vanished, never to be seen again. Oh, we don't even know his name. Wow, okay, shit, where do I start? What you got here is the first. As you can guess by its name, this thing goes way back, like way back, to the beginning. You're a good Catholic boy, so I know you remember the story of Cain and Abel, how Abel was like, oh, God loves me, and Cain was like, jealousy, wham, and killed him with this. That's right, you're the new proud owner of murder stick #1, so congrats, I guess. Now, the story goes that God was so pissed that he marked Cain, set him walking the earth forever, unable to die, but that's only half true. See, Cain brought murder into our world, back in when it was, still new and teeming with free-range evil. This made him a target for certain dark influences, if you catch my emphasis. Even if Cain was a brother-murdering jackass, God wasn't going to let the darkness run a train on him, so he made Cain unkillable. As you know, the darkness deals in death. If Cain couldn't die, the darkness couldn't take him. Not a bad move on God's part. But God doesn't just hand out free prizes, especially for murdering your brother. So he set Cain to a task, cleaning up all that leftover darkness from before creation. Unfortunately for Cain, unkillable did not mean immortal, but that's a different story altogether. Okay. Jeez. First off, holy shit. Second, do you know what these are? These are Af and Hema. That ring any bells? No? Okay. Well, then let me put it this way. There are 6 angels of death. You are currently holding 2 of them. Yeah. Okay. Their names are Af and Hema. Roughly, they translate to wrath and anger. It was on the 7th level of heaven that God bound Af and Hema with chains of fire and shadow, which was no small feat, mind you. These weren't your run-of-the-mill chubby cherubs. You know, the Af and Hema were roughly the size of a large volcano and packed 10 times the firepower, all right? Then again, God being God, I guess it wasn't really a fair fight, but whatever. I'm getting off topic, okay? As the story goes, the Angelus asked God for a weapon to aid her war against the darkness. God was in a giving mood that day, so he reforged Af and Hema into the flames of creation, all right? Tempering them down into blades. These blades, these right here. Now, some say the angels are still alive within the blades, and I tend to agree. Try all you like, but you can't separate them. No. Try taking only one of them out of this room. It might slip out of your hand, or you might just drop dead of a stroke. Now, you never know, but they will not be parted. We're talking peanut butter and jelly. Ham and cheese level of commitment here, man. Somewhere, somehow, Af and Hema are still bound by the chains of fire and shadow. Jackie, let me introduce you to Enoch. Great-great-great-great-grandson of Adam, great-grandfather to Noah, and the only guy who knows how many angels can dance on the head of a pin. I'm sure he'd say hi, but as you can see, he's dead. Enoch's a special guy. If not for him, we'd only know a teeny tiny little smidgen of what we do about heaven, hell, and all those weebly-wobbly bits in between. How do you learn all this stuff? Well, if you read the Bible, it says that Enoch walked with God. What does that mean? Fuck if I know! I don't know, the Bible doesn't say, it just says, poof, no more Enoch. Next verse. This is why I don't read the Bible. I do, however, read the secret histories. And it's there that we learn Enoch actually ascended to heaven, where he apparently took some night classes, because the next time we see him, he's back on Earth, busy being the world's foremost expert on all things occult and supernatural. Do you know how many other people have been invited to heaven just for a visit? 0! Seriously, they loved him up there. So much, in fact, that upon his death, a heavenly host descended from the clouds simply to inscribe his skull with the language of angels. That's the markings you see. No one has ever been able to decipher them. But when the skull is placed in absolute darkness, the markings emit a faint singing noise, which is kind of a cool thing. Okay, I'm looking at this and what I'm seeing is the Chime of Deliverance. But, and mind you, this is a small but, all records of the chime say it was destroyed along with Solomon's temple back in 586 BC. That said, records have been wrong in the past, so who knows? Maybe it's the real thing. The chime first dates back to the 40-year war, that period of time when Moses and the Israelites fought the darkness in the wilderness. The chime wasn't designed to be a weapon. Instead, it was an instrument of safe passage. According to the secret histories, the chime was carried ahead of Moses' army and struck every 153 steps. Now, any army in history would tell you that ringing a bell nonstop is a bad idea. That's how your enemy finds you. Thing is, the darkness is no ordinary enemy, and the chime is no ordinary bell. You're in the mob. The mob is Italian. Italian's like opera, right? Well, you know how an opera singer can shatter glass by singing a certain note? Well, the Chime of Deliverance does the same thing, except instead of glass, it shatters darkness. The exact pitch has never been identified, but when struck, the chime emits a sound that can physically push back the night. Now, if you want, we can test the chime's authenticity. We just gotta hit it, you know, make it sing. And this is a much larger butt. A butt of epic proportions, really. It might disintegrate you. Just saying. Ah, the crescent of the sun, considered by many to be the greatest mystery and biggest letdown of the past millennium. You know, if you don't count Rocky V. The crescent was wielded by the Angelus approximately 800 years ago for half an hour. She claimed it was forged from a single drop of the sun's flame, that it would bring about the final end of the darkness. What she forgot to mention, however, is how the crescent would do this, which is important because she never got a chance to use it. Carrying it into battle against the darkness, she was immediately disemboweled. A bit anticlimactic for sure, but it only gets worse. A few years later, the crescent was rediscovered by a holy warrior. Once again, the blade was wielded against the darkness. This time, it even managed to get a few good swings. But you know what? The blade passed through the darkness, like a knife through water. Later, after monks recovered the crescent from the warrior's corpse, it was tested against multiple targets. Turns out the blade passes through all matter. People, stone, trees, kittens, just whoosh, goes right through. No harm, no foul. Could be only the Angelus can wield the crescent, but if so, why has she never tried to reclaim it? Personally, I think the Angelus talked a big game, but was just as surprised as everyone else when the crescent turned out to be worthless. Which begs the question, where did the crescent come from? I got no idea, but I hope she kept the receipt. Think back to your high school history class. Wait, did you even go to high school? You know what, forget it. I don't want to argue, nor do I want you to punch me in the face. So I'll just catch you up to speed on some stuff I'm sure you already know. The lost colony of Roanoke was a British colony off the coast of what we now call North Carolina. As the name implies, it disappeared. Okay, the colony, not the island. 115 people just whoosh, gone. Okay, goodbye. To this day, no one knows what happened to them. Well, no one except for me and every other supernatural junkie on the planet. See, the darkness was first carried to North America by one of the colonists. And where the darkness goes, its enemies follow. One of those enemies, the Angelus, came to a nearby tribe of Croatoan natives. Influenced by the Angelus, a Croatoan maid slipped into the colony under cloak of night and massacred the colonists in their sleep. This is the weapon she used, Roanoke's Bane. But the Angelus had been mistaken. The darkness was not in Roanoke, as it was being carried by the colony's leader, John White. John was back in England, procuring more supplies. When he returned to find Roanoke deserted, the darkness knew the Angelus had been there. Unfortunately for the Croatoans, the Angelus had already moved on. They were defenseless when the darkness fell upon them, much like the colonists had been. Fair's fair, I suppose. Oh, wow. You seriously have a copy of the True Revelation? I'm impressed, Jackie. Didn't peg you as the reading type. To call this book rare would be laughable. Magic swords, true love, stake. These things are rare. The true revelation is one of a kind. I'm not exaggerating. Every copy is completely different. See, the true revelation is actually the revelation of John, the Bible's explosive summer blockbustering finale. There are three schools of thought about the revelation. The first believes it is a literal prophecy. This is retarded. The second believes it's a metaphor for Roman persecution. Plausible, but boring. The third believes it is a code that, once deciphered, will reveal the true revelation. People who believe this tend to be insane, but also extremely fun at parties. Now, everyone deciphers the revelation differently, which is why each copy is entirely unique. Just flipping through this one, it appears to have been deciphered by the Brotherhood. In fact, it predicts the Brotherhood's descent into Crazy Town. That means this is a relatively true revelation. See, we can prove the Brotherhood went crazy, but we can't prove what the revelation predicted. Chances are the man who wrote this copy only saw what he wanted to see inside the revelation. Or he was insane and just poured his depravity onto the page. Like they say, write what you know. Either way, this translation has probably guided the Brotherhood's actions for at least a century. Kind of like the normal Bible still does today, Almost makes you wonder who's crazier. Ooh, the Deceiver's Grasp. The third most infamous glove of all time, right behind the sparkly one and the one that didn't fit. The Deceiver's Grasp was designed to be used in conjunction with the Abysmal Maw. If you don't know, the Maw was a mystical hand cannon that shot pure hellfire, but consumed the user's soul in the process. It only took a few thousand damnings before someone got the idea to protect themselves from the Maw's side effects, and so the Deceiver's Grasp was forged as a sort of damnation contraceptive for your hand. Current theory holds that the Brotherhood created the glove, which would make sense, since it employs a rather nasty bit of transference magic. See, when laced with the blood of another living person, the glove allows you to wield the Maw without having your soul burnt away, whereas the poor sap whose blood you used will spend eternity cozied up beside the fires of hell. Come to think of it, a better name for this thing would have been the Asshole's Bait and Switch, or my slimy brother Ted. It doesn't sound as ominous, I admit, but it's just so damn accurate. Ew. Oh, you feel that? This thing's hidden an 11 out of 10 on my creepy meter. Just being near it, it feels like I got worms under my skin. Worms that are creeped out as I am because they got worms under their skin. Am I painting a clear enough picture? You may look at this and see an iron mask. Just a common torture device used to humiliate someone. It didn't cause any physical pain. It was just a symbol. If a person was dirty, their mask looked like a pig. If they fucked around, it looked like something that fucked around. I don't know, a rabbit. Okay, now if you look closely at this mask, you'll see it kind of looks like a demon. Makes sense since it was worn by a former darkness host. Maybe you heard of him? Vlad the Impaler, better known as Dracula. Not many people can claim they were the source material for a famous monster. In fact, I only know of two. This guy and Helen Keller. What you don't realize is, this mask isn't creepy because Vlad wore it. It's creepy because he wore it voluntarily. He wanted everyone to know exactly who was coming to impale them on a giant fucking spike. And, just to add insult to an insanely painful mortal injury, do you know what he named his mask? The Mark of Cain. As if to say, that's right bitches, I'm unkillable. This might be the most fashionable fuck you in the history of man. You know, this isn't the first time the Brotherhood has tried to take the darkness. Yeah, things look bleak right now, but believe it or not, they've done worse. A lot worse. It was a long time ago. So far back, no one knew the Brotherhood even existed. They'd been around, but necessity required they keep a low profile. See, they were watching the darkness, studying it, learning what made it tick. They already knew enough not to fuck with the darkness. So if they were going to move against it, they needed to be totally confident in their knowledge. I have to give them credit. The Brotherhood knew what they were doing. They accurately predicted who the next host would be. Swapping children at birth, they raised the host as one of their own. Then, when he came of age, they chained him to a table and tortured him to death. This is the blinding sun. One of these was inserted into each of his eye sockets, gouging out each eye in the process. Each device was then slowly expanded until it shattered his forehead and cheekbones. This was the first of 12 tortures. The darkness didn't manifest itself until the 4th. That means it took 2 more of these unspeakable acts before the Brotherhood could be certain they had the right guy. That doubt didn't even slow them down. These are bad people, Jackie, and they have it in them to be a whole lot worse.